guys, welcome to my new podcast. We have our guest Shri Jaya Ram with us, and I hope there would be a lot of learnings at the end of this podcast. Before starting the podcast, I will give an honor or a proud for me to introduce Jaya Ram with his own words. So Jaya Ram, welcome to Nomadic Dipanshu YouTube channel today.
Thank you.
We'll start with the word, as you always say, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Om Namo Narayan. Hari Om.
Alright, so Jai Ram ji, can you please define yourself as a British guy entering into Hinduism, traveling all the way to India? How was your experience and everything? We'll be talking down in this video, but before that, we'll introduce yourself first. Over to you.
Okay, Hari Om. So my name is Jai Ram, and I took initiation recently at the Maha Kumbh Mela from my Guruji. And it's been a very long journey to get to where I am in Sanatana Dharma, especially coming from the West. It can be a very isolating experience, with not many connections or places to go to learn. It's, even getting across the door of going into a Hindu mandir as a Westerner can be quite intimidating.
Exactly.
So it's taken a very long time, building confidence, building faith, building devotion, to sort of get to where I am now. But I'm very, very much just a humble student, and anything that I can share is the holy words of my teachers, and I give everything to them, to my Guruji, to my dear friend Aditya Giri, who is a Babaji that I travel with, and to the many, many teachers I've met along the way also. So, yes.
So, Jai Ram ji, my first question, I would love to keep it as a conversation, so that people love to understand our words. We'll keep it very short and sorted. So, my first question is, as a guy from the UK, what first drew you towards Hinduism, towards India?
Well, I've always been quite a strange child growing up, and I was always into really exploring the cultures and faith of different countries. Growing up, I was obsessed with the ancient Greeks and ancient Egyptians and ancient Indian culture, which is very much still alive. And it was around the age of 16 that I really started to connect with Sanatana Dharma. And it's when I first got a murti of Ganpatiji, which I still have, and he travels everywhere with me.
Wow.
And it was only many years later that I found out that Ganesha is not only the remover of obstacles, but we pray to him before any spiritual worship as the gateway into the higher levels. So it was only many years later that I realized that it was his mercy and his blessings that I got this murti of him, and I had no one to teach me how to worship, but it was this natural inclination, this natural desire. I just started to offer him flowers, a little candle, some incense, and then at the time, I think it was on YouTube, I found, like Ganesh mantras and things like this, which I still chant all the time. And then slowly but surely, I started to connect with the other deities, with Lord Shiva, with Mahalakshmi Devi, and ultimately, I then started to connect with Krishna, and I then started to get closer to ISKCON after many, many years, and then I lived in an ISKCON mandir for some time. But my studies led me beyond that sort of institutional education, and then I went to India on my own, and by the grace of Bhagwan, I started to live with sadhus. And yeah.
So, when was your first time when you started connecting towards Hinduism?
I would say about the age of 16, yes.
Which year would be, and how old are you now?
So now I am 32. So, God, what year would that have been at 16?
Like 16 years before?
Yes.
So around, let's say 2009 or something.
Yes. Yeah, let's say that. I'm terrible at maths.
We'll sort it out together.
But yeah, so around 2009. So, this is an age where a lot of people really start to connect with the spiritual path because, you're going through your teenage years, which obviously leads to a lot of trauma and drama in your life, and you're seeking for something more. And this is when I first really started to, you know, start to study not only the external aspects of the faith, but the internal, which is, the very most important things. This Sanatana Dharma is very much a path of self-realization.
Exactly.
It's not other people realization. It's very much about the connection with the self, which is the divine. Yeah. So through all the external modes of worship, it's actually always to bring you closer within.
Wow, amazing. So, like, was there a specific teacher, a book, or a time that sparked your interest toward Hinduism?
So I remember a specific book that I started to read called Shabda Shakti Sangam, which compared Hindu practices with Christian practices, and this really started to help me understand the deeper levels of Hinduism as a faith. And then through this, I started to connect with Sri Anandamayi, who is a Bengali Hindu saint, and then from her, Haidakan Babaji, who both of these spiritual leaders I have so much connection with still, even though they left their body many years ago. But just their images really drew me towards their teachings, and from there I started to deep dive and read much more. So I would definitely credit them. But then, of course, the Bhagavad Gita was the first actual holy text that I read.
Wow.
And of course, this has everything you need is in the Bhagavad Gita. So
did you read holy textbooks like in your time within this past 16 years? And how many did you read? Did you completed it?
I've read quite a few, but I could have read many, many more. I think it took me a long time in those 16 years to really find out where the good material was, and what is the right thing to sort of read, because especially in the West, there's a lot of Western spirituality involved in these things. So actually finding the right thing. So the Bhagavad Gita is, the first and last place to go in many ways. But recently I've been very much reading Kashmiri Shaivite texts. So the Pratyabhigyana Bhairavatantra. Sorry, I just pronounced that wrong.
No, it's fine.
If you can cut that bit. Is the Pratyabhigyana Hridayam, the Shri Vigyana Bhairavatantra.
Okay. I haven't heard it before, but I think if I could deep dive more into Hinduism and spirituality, I think definitely one day I'll catch all this too.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you very much for this. So, when you first heard about Hinduism in the UK and Liverpool, what did you thought of it? Oh, sorry, Manchester.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We'll keep it unfiltered, uncut, so it'll be very natural to our audience as well. So, when you first heard about this Hinduism in the UK, what did you imagine it to be? And yeah, your thoughts on this.
So it's something that I was always aware of. There's a big Hindu community in the UK, but I always thought it was this beautiful, very different spiritual path that I never thought I could access in many ways. But once you get beyond the cultural expressions of Hinduism, you actually find it's all the pure spiritual universal truths that it's beyond culture, it's beyond just India. It's it's the divine truth of God. It belongs to everyone, and
God is everywhere.
yes, absolutely. So it's the most accessible gateway into this, I think.
So, Jai Ram Das ji, did you get your family back here in the UK, and friends, family, a background about your family, and how did they reacted when they first heard that you are entering into spirituality, Hinduism, or traveling back to India? What were their thoughts?
So growing up, I was always into more spiritual things. My aunties and uncles used to call me Jesus as I was growing up.
Wow.
So they always kind of knew that I would be on some sort of spiritual path. And because it took a long time for me to connect and develop and deepen into, Sanatana Dharma, they were so incredibly supportive when I actually made the decision. to go to India, I quit my job and was like, I have to give my life to this to explore, because the material world wasn't satisfying me, and it never will. Mm-hmm. So I knew there was something more out there, so I had to take this leap. But my family are wonderful, and I'm so honored and blessed to have them. They are incredibly supportive, and they kind of were all like, about time. They always knew that I would do this, so it was just when I was ready, they were ready to be supportive, so I'm very lucky.
That was good to know about your family and they supported you. Um, did you ever doubted your decision or thought that what I have done and I have came back along to the next path, which might be or might not be good for me? So, did you get this thought ever in your mind?
I mean, I'm human, so of course it's a very, very natural state to be fearful of what our decisions and, what might happen, especially stepping into the unknown. But over these many years, I've also cultivated so much faith, and I just had to cast everything into that faith. So, whilst, materialistically there's some worries, but having faith in Bhagwan to know that everything is going to be looked after, and the more faith you have, the more you worship, you actually feel more comfortable. And it's just the cultivation of that faith is the most important thing. But also, once you have this realization of the divine, of the truth, you can't go back. Exactly. There is no way that I could go back to a completely materialistic life, because it's just living in ignorance. And once you realize this, then you can't go back.
Yeah. That's a good one about your journey. So these questions were regarding your personal motivation and devotion. We'll be moving to our next questions, next steps. So when I first met Jai Ram Das ji, he told me about he went to Mahakumbh Mela, one of the crowdest festival kind of thing in India, Prayagraj, and I was super amazed to listen. First of all, see him as a sadhu kind of. Look at his vesh bhusha, and I was really shocked to know that he went to Mahakumbh Mela. And so Mahakumbh Mela, those who don't know, is held after every 4 years.
So there's one every 4 years. The Mahakumbh is every 12 years, but this one in particular was 125 years.
Mahakumbh Mela 2025, Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. What was your first impression of Mahakumbh Mela? Such a massive crowd in India in January 2025. Over to you.
Well, I arrived in Prayagraj on Christmas Eve, actually, and I was staying with His Holiness Swami Dr. Umakantanan Saraswati ji, who is Mahamandaleshwar of Junakara.
Can you make it keep it slow, please?
So I arrived in Prayagraj on Christmas Eve
Name you can keep
with Swami. I was staying with Swami Dr. Umakantanan Saraswati ji, who is a Mahamandaleshwar of Junakara.
Wow.
So he had a very large and beautiful site at the Kumbh. So we were going every single day to visit the site, to see how it was developing. I got to meet all the workers and see the amazing Kumbh Mela come to life from, just emptiness previously. So it was a very rare opportunity to be able to see the construction of how the Kumbh Mela works. So it was quite interesting. We started to stay there on maybe the 5th of January. And then this is when people started to arrive en masse. So we saw the slow build up, and it's like this famous thing of, if a crab is in boiling water and you rise the water, it doesn't realize it's in hot water. Oh, so, yeah. You're already there, and then you start to see more and more people go. And then by the second Sanan, which was the 29th of January, which was my birthday, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very blessed. There were millions of people, and then we really noticed, like, okay.
Welcome to India.
Yeah. But it was incredible, and to be around so many people with, pure hearts, love, devotion, the energy was completely incredible, and it gives me shivers to think about now, actually. And of course, there were some tragic incidents that happened as this powerful energy overspilled. And it was interesting to speak to many Indian people there, because they were saying how, obviously tragic these people lost their lives, but what a blessing to lose them on the banks of Ganga in Prayagraj. So, it's a double-sided thing, obviously incredibly tragic.
When you were talking about the energy, when I saw you the very first time, guys, I will be very honest to you, I felt very energetic because I have been in spirituality recently. I've started to learn things connecting more to the Hinduism, and it feels really good to be around those people who are energetic, turning into spirituality, turning into Hinduism. So I get a really positive energy when I saw you the very first time.
Thank you.
So, can you describe a time in your life there, the sights, the sounds, and the atmosphere, and what rituals or practices influenced you the most during Mahakumbh Mela?
So every day we were holding yagyas. We would wake up very early. We would bathe in Maganga, then do sadhana, and then later in the morning, we would um, hold a yagya every day, which was incredibly beautiful, and to really understand the science of the intricacies of the practice and the offering. It's incredibly beautiful. The first Sanan was the most beautiful day, the most powerful day of my life. It was wonderful to see so many people, all the Naga Babas running around, and I'd never experienced anything like it. And I was in the procession with the Junakara. Um, and it was a blessing because I felt very safe and protected by them, but it was still terrifying. I felt like I was going to die at one point, just before I bathed, but I started to pray to Lord Shiva, and he protected me. And wow. Yeah, I was actually with the mayoress of Harrow, which is a borough of London, which is big Hindu community there, and she was staying with Swami Dr. Umakantanan Saraswatiji, who I think is her Guruji, and we bathed together because she's from London and I'm British, so we found this common connection, and we lost everyone else in the crowd, so it was just us two. But this was the most powerful experience of my life. To all these millions of people with love, joy, all in one place. You can feel the energy. It's incredibly powerful. And then a few days after this, I took Diksha initiation from my guru. So this was, again, an incredibly powerful experience, and something I'd waited, all of my life for. Knowing or unknowing, I'd waited for this for a very long time.
So, did you find the water of holy river Ganga very cold? Waking up early in the morning 5 a.m. You would have never been before in the UK, like getting up early this morning. How did you find that?
Bahut Tande. No, well, I actually lived in an ISKCON mandir for 6 months. So this gave me very good training. We would wake at 4 a.m. every day for Mangalarti. So I had good training, some discipline to wake up early, even when it's difficult. But it's such an honor and a rare opportunity to be at the Mahakumbh, especially after 125 years. Let me just double check if that's correct. And you have to take these opportunities. So to bathe in Maganga at that time every day is a blessing.
Wow, amazing. Glad you had an amazing experience while following the spiritual path at the bank of not only river Ganga, Yamuna ji, Saraswati ji, like it's a sangam where all the three rivers meet. Glad. I know there was infrastructure, they were planning, they were everything, but it's really hard to manage millions of people, and not only millions, there were billions of people. It was so hard. There was an incident, Mahakumbh Mela stampede. My prayers are for those families who lost their closed ones. As a guy who was like for your first time there in the Mahakumbh Mela, when you heard about all these, you were there. Were you? Yeah. So how was your experience? Like, how did you see all this? And did you scared or were you afraid of all those things? Because since this was your first time.
Well, we started to hear news of something going on as we were walking towards the Sangam. And then by the time we'd arrived, there was a lot of confusion, and all the Mahamandaleshwars got down from their chariots. So we were like, okay, something's happened. Um, it was scary, but we were in a very safe area. We weren't in sort of any dangerous situation, which I was very blessed to be so safe, actually. But we had taken some Westerners with us also, so I was kind of more concerned about them, and they were sort of, wanting to explore more. I was like, there's a serious situation here, like, you have to be respectful, like, and go back, because everyone was instructed to go back to their campsites. So I was trying to encourage everyone to do this. But yeah, one of the main things, obviously it's so tragic to hear so many people died. And I knew this would be news back in the West, but there was no phone signals whatsoever. So just to try and let my family know that I was okay. I knew they would be worried, but I couldn't contact anyone. And it was also my birthday, so I knew that everyone would be extra worried for some reason. So yeah, that was quite stressful, and of course the horrific incident. But this is it. There's so many people. It's beyond anything that the world sees. So, hopefully things can be learnt from this, and every year, every Mahakumbh, every 12 years, there will be improvements. And yeah,
We'll hope so with the government as well. You were there. There were some cultural differences, some shocking differences for the very first time who watch all these things. Did you watch Naga Sadhus? Did you watch the Akharas? And how was your experience watching them as a first time?
well, I'd heard of Naga Babas before, and my teacher was very gracious in really sort of explaining to me about their lifestyle, that how they get to this position and the sacrifices that they make. And it really helped me understand that they're beyond people. They're like spirits living on this earth, and to see them in the hustle and bustle of the Mahakumbh, like, you can really see the energy and the power that they have and the respect that they deserve. And
Exactly.
yeah, I think, maybe it can be a tendency for people to think like, oh, these crazy Nagababas, but they earn every amount of respect that they deserve through this sacrifice, because they are keeping strong the Sanatana Dharma in the diversity and the beauty that it has. I also met a Nagababa in Varanasi just after the Mahakumbh, called Ganpati Prasad Giri, who gave me very strong blessings, which I was quite like, it's intense. But it's wonderful to be around them, and so much to learn.
Learning about Nagas, Babas, and Sadhus, we'll be moving to our next question, which is how was your experience in watching Indian weather, food, music, people, different parts, and how did you navigate them? Was it challenging for you? Was it fun for you? Did you enjoy it? Your thoughts on this?
I mean, I love everything about Indian culture, especially the food. The street food is bahut swadist. Yes, it's beautiful. My favorite is probably littis.
Wow.
Yes, I was first given one on a train from Tripura to. We were going to Darjeeling, and it changed my life. I loved this litti so much. And then we traveled around Bihar for a while, so I had this chop also is
Wow.
very good.
I love personally
Yeah.
soya chop. It's amazing.
So good. These are all, maybe not so sattvic foods, but I love them anyway. The weather was quite challenging at times. I first arrived in Vrindavan in April last year, and this was around 46, 47 degrees every day. I've never experienced this before. And my mother lives in Spain, and it gets hot there, but Spain is very much sun worshipping, so you spend all your time in the sun. And I learned the hard way that in India you have to avoid the sun when it's this hot.
Yeah, it's 47, 50 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
You don't get this cold, this hot in UK.
No.
Yeah. What if you get this?
Yeah.
We talked a lot about Magh Mela experience. We'll be moving to the next, but before that, I have my last questions regarding it. Was there any miracle or a spiritual thing which you witnessed at that time, and how was your experience? If you
I think the whole of the Mahakumbh is a miracle. The fact that this Sanatan Dharma, this ancient belief system is still alive, this ancient truth is still here, is in itself a miracle. But there were many small moments where I felt just this like absolute spark of light, and it's like leveling up in a video game. You know, you have like this amazing moment, and these are like miracles. And when you start to attune with your dharma and your path, you see miracles in many small actions, in meeting a wonderful teacher, in their lessons, in the kindness of strangers. These all become miracles. It's not just this, higher power from above clicking their fingers and then this miracle happens. Miracles happen all the time, and I think what we have to do is cultivate our awareness to appreciate them.
Yeah. How do you understand God and the divine now compared to before?
That's understanding the ununderstandable. So, if I were to sort of summarize in some way, God to me is the divine light that illuminates everything, that animates everything in life. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he is the spark of life within everyone, and this is how we should understand, if we can understand, the divine.
Wow. Lovely. What role did Guru, sadhus, saints played in your life?
Well, I've been very fortunate to have met many, many sadhus in my time, by the blessings of Bhagwan. But my Gurudev, Shri Dinbandhu Dinanath Das Maharaj, he, of course, he's like my father. He's
Wow.
this holy figure who took mercy on me, this Westerner seeking something beyond, and he gave me Diksha. So this connection to an unbroken lineage, that goes straight back to the divine. So within that, to him I offer everything, and I'm so grateful. And Baba Aditya Giri ji, who is a sadhu who I met in Rishikesh, by the banks of Ganga, and
Wow.
he is such a holy teacher to me, and we still communicate very often, despite him being a full Baba with no phone. He shows me so much mercy by contacting me, and it helps me stay strong whilst in the West. But I've had many, many wonderful teachers. Swami Dr. Umakantanan Saraswati ji, who I mentioned previously. Bhakti Swarup Govinda Maharaj is another sadhu who I had the honor of spending a lot of time with in Vrindavan and Mayapur, in particular. So along the way, I've just had constant blessings that I feel completely unworthy of.
Wow.
But
थैंक यू एवरीवन जिन्होंने ये पॉडकास्ट एंड तक देखा हो. आई होप मैं कुछ ना कुछ वैल्यू ऐड कर पाया हूँ इस पॉडकास्ट के थ्रू. मेरी लास्ट ट्रैवल ब्लॉग्स में आप सभी ने बहुत सारा प्यार किया और दिया, एंड आई होप कि सेम प्यार मुझे इस पॉडकास्ट में भी मिलेगा. इसके बाद हम बहुत अच्छे लोगों को, गेस्ट को इनवाइट करते रहेंगे इस वीडियो के थ्रू और इस चैनल के थ्रू, और बहुत ही अच्छा मैसेज स्प्रेड करेंगे अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. और इसी तरह आप अपना प्यार बनाए रखिए गाइस. लाइक, कमेंट, शेयर, सब्सक्राइब करना बिल्कुल मत भूलिएगा, और आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट वन.